Yesterday in science, we took a look at about what just a basic weather report looks like, or what a basic forecast looks like. And today we're going to do a quick watch of one as well, and see what that weather forecast looks like when people go ahead and present it. And we're going to look today about how they look at it. We're going to look at the water cycle a little bit and possibly jump into clouds. We'll see what we have time for today. Sound good? Perfect. So we will watch our video.
Looks like a big storm is headed our way. You might want to get a raincoat and an umbrella. And be careful if you are outside, as lightning is in the area. So do not stand under trees or be on rooftops. But tomorrow you get my sunny day guarantee. It will be warm and dry. How do I know all of that? Well, I am a meteorologist, and I have special tools and skills that help me predict the weather. And knowing the weather means people can be ready for it. I went to school to learn about meteorology, which means I understand weather patterns and what causes changes, and I use special tools that help me predict the weather. I use things like radar and a barometer and weather maps and satellites. So next time you see a weather report on TV, listen up. It will help you plan your day.
Perfect. So kind of cheesy, right? But it gives us that idea of what types of things you're learning in there, what tools a meteorologist is going to use as well. Yesterday, we talked about that radar map as well, right? So it's that map, and we tried to pull ours up. But was there anything exciting going on? No, because did we have any weather headed our way? No, so we are actually going to look at it next week, because we are going to have more weather heading our way in the next few days, in the next few weeks, or next week we'll have more diverse weather patterns coming through, and we'll be able to look at our radar and see what's happening live as well, and kind of start to predict that weather a little bit. Perfect. Let's go ahead, and I will jump into our reader. And as I read a little bit from it today, I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to do first. Yep, we'll do, open up to page 98. We'll start there. Open up to page 98 in your Be a Scientist notebook. And we're going to be at the bottom of page 98 where we see that the weather cycle, or the water cycle piece. Do you guys see it? Okay. I want you to take a moment. I want you just to observe up here. What are the different pieces that you see through the water cycle? Turn and talk to your neighbor. What are different pieces of the water cycle do you see?
I see that it goes up into the
3, 2, 1. Casey, would you turn on the lights for us? So listening to you guys talk to you, I heard a lot of talk about the different parts of the water cycle, which is fabulous. I saw people following the arrows as they talked about too, and they said, I saw this happen after this. That's great. What we're going to do is we're going to go through this a little bit, and we're going to learn more about pieces as we go through. Sound good? So what are we going to start with today, Zena? It's a cycle, so it won't matter where you start. You pick. Where do you want to start? Which one of these pieces, though? Runoff? Okay, she wants to start with runoff today. Water cycles are cool because it's a cycle. It's never ending. It's always happening. So it doesn't really matter where we start with it. We know eventually it's going to make it back to that piece and start over again, right? So we'll start with that runoff today. I think it even reads it for us. We'll let it read it for us.
Water flows. Some precipitation flows over Earth's surface. It flows downhill into lakes, rivers, and oceans. Precipitation can also soak into the ground. Groundwater flows underground through rock.
So that first piece was runoff. And we know that precipitation is doing what once it hits the ground? Charlie.
It's going into the ground.
Some of it's going to go into the ground. Great. And it becomes that underground water. Perfect. Joey, what else is it going to do?
It might go into like lakes, rivers, and oceans.
Perfect. That water is going to be flowing right into lakes, into rivers, into oceans. Fabulous. Looking back up at our, you got it. Looking back up, what would come after runoff? Kaylin, what would come after runoff? Evaporation. We're over here with evaporation, which is going to come next. We're following those arrows. It's gone down into that river or lake or whatever this happens to be, and we go to evaporation.
Water evaporates. The sun's energy heats water in lakes, rivers, streams, oceans, and on land. The water changes from a liquid into water vapor, a gas.
Turn and tell your neighbor in your own words what happens during evaporation.
The water and then
Three, two, one. What's going to happen after evaporation? Zoe. Condensation. Everybody say that with me. Fabulous. Let's read to see what happens here.
Water condenses. Water vapor rises and cools. The water vapor changes into liquid water drops. The drops form clouds.
Perfect. So in condensation, the water vapors rise up and they form into those clouds. Very good. Those water droplets are going to form in to make different types of clouds. Good. Sun isn't one. But the sun is important because it's what's doing this, right? It's what's heating the water to make it evaporate, to form condensation. And next and last in the cycle, before we start it over again, is
precipitation.
Water falls. When enough water has condensed in clouds, the water falls to earth as precipitation. It can be rain, snow, sleet, or hail.
Fabulous. Rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Turn and tell your neighbor, how do we get different types of precipitation? What needs to happen? Three, two, one. Fabulous. In order for precipitation to become different types of precipitation, rain, snow, sleet, or hail, it's dependent upon what? Joey?
The air temperature.
Fabulous. The air temperature. If the air temperature is warmer, probably just rain. As it gets cold or freezing, it becomes some of the other types of precipitation. Very good. Third graders, at the bottom of page 98, you have two questions. The first question is what happens when water condenses. So I'm going to play condensation one more time for you so you can answer the question, what happens when water condenses? Please use your own words to answer it.
Water condenses. Water vapor rises and cools. The water vapor changes into liquid water drops. The drops form clouds.
So we know that once it evaporates, it forms,
Clouds.
and you guys had already told me that. And then using that same information, you should be able to answer the next question. What does water become when it evaporates? I'll give you a few moments to fill those out. One second. As you finish, on the next page, you guys have those 3 boxes and that picture. I want you to use arrows and our words that we have up here to draw the water cycle on your picture. And then on those 3 boxes, I want you to write precipitation, condensation, and evaporation. And in your own words, just tell what's happening in each of those 3 steps. This is our last thing we're going to do in science right now. So you're going to label the water cycle on your picture, just kind of what's happening, draw your arrows. And then on the boxes, you can do precipitation, condensation, and evaporation in those 3 boxes. And just kind of in your own words, tell what's happening in the water cycle. I'll give you about 5 minutes to work on this, okay? I will leave this up for you as we go. Go for it.